the Government of India has summoned the Canadian High Commissioner over a rally planned by Khalistan supporters in Toronto on the 8th of July. A freedom rally has been called in Canada by pro-Khalistan supporters. The posters for this freedom rally carry threats to India's envoy in Ottawa and Consul General in Toronto, and comes just days after the Indian consulate in San Francisco was vandalized again by pro-Khalistani activists. It is a serious situation. Joining us now to look at this, Manjinder Singh Sirsa, spokesperson of the BJP, Ambassador Navdeep Suri as well. Mr. Sirsa, let me come to you first. You know, the situation with Canada over a period of time has been steadily deteriorating. Do you believe that the onus now lies with Ottawa to ensure that they take firm action ahead of the 8th of July, or this might end up having very serious an impact on the bilateral relationship? Go ahead, sir. Mr. Sirsa, go ahead. Can you hear me? I don't think he can. I'll just go across to Ambassador Navdeep Suri. Ambassador Suri, would you like to take that question? Do you think this is going to have an impact on ties?
No, I don't think so. I think that, look, the relationship is mature, the relationship is multifaceted, and it's very diverse. Because it's a mature relationship, we can afford to convey a very tough message, as Minister Jaishankar has done, and say, I presume, that this time it's really different. A red line has been crossed. This is no longer propaganda. This is no longer shouting slogans outside the embassy. After a physical intrusion of the embassy, of the consulate in March, you have an attempt at arson. And this is really beyond any acceptable threshold of First Amendment, free speech, blah, blah, that the reasons that are usually trotted out. So I think that the Americans will hear us when we speak strongly. And I think that they should unleash the full might of the federal law enforcement.
No, but Ambassador, I was asking about Canada, and I was asking about what's going to take place. The American reaction has been quite strong. Canada has also reacted, but the fact that you've got posters which have got pictures of our High Commissioner and our Consul General in Toronto, on the 8th of July, there's going to be the so-called Freedom Rally, and the situation with Canada is fairly different from the situation with the United States. I mean, it does represent the worst of these Khalistani elements. So, where do you see this relationship going?
Yeah, Vishnu, in a sense, the bizarre thing also is that in a rally in Toronto, they are carrying the posters with the images of the Ambassador of India in Washington and the Consul General of India in San Francisco. Not of the diplomats in Canada. But I think it is absolutely reprehensible. And I think there are three things that seem to be bothering the Khalistanis. The first is the exceptional relationship we have. Ambassador Sandhu is being targeted because he has been such a staunch diplomat advocating Indian interests in Washington. In Canada, unfortunately, I think they have tied themselves in knots with their vote bank politics. And you have a foreign office that wants to take a certain position, and you have a political establishment that is kowtowing to a very small but very influential minority in Canada that delivers them time and again seats, particularly to one political party.
Mr. Sirsa, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Sirsa, is Canada doing enough? We'll talk about America as well, but let's talk about Canada first, because it just seems over a period of time, the nature of the threat from Khalistani elements is very strong in Canada.
Definitely, and I don't believe that Canadian government is doing enough. A reason being, for the sake of argument, you believe if something happens outside the Canadian High Commission, what will be the repercussions? They will come all out and say that this India is unable to protect our people, and yes, but at the same time, our diplomats are put on, the pictures are put on posters which is of rallies going on, and they are intimidated, they are openly threatened. So I think as far as Canadian government is concerned, we are seeing from last 3-4 years, in fact couple of years more than that, they are not doing enough what should be done. And now today the situation has turned so worse that even Canadian government is feeling the heat. If you see, there are bomb blasts in Canada, there are target killings in Canada, and now they are also facing this heat. And the only reason behind what I see is that there is not a strong government there, and it is an alliance government with one of the partner who openly advocates division of this country. So that is the one reason why Canadian government is not taking a strict action. I think now it's a high time the government of India should also come out reciprocal. And the way they have withdrawn the security from England High Commission, and you have seen within the minutes, there were more than 100 police personnel posted outside the Indian consulate, Indian High Commission there in London, Indian Embassy. So I think it should be reciprocal, something has to be done, and a clear message should be given that we won't tolerate this anymore.
Ambassador Suri, how would you, in terms of what action India can take, do you believe that we need to step up our diplomatic response?
I think with Canada, we definitely must.
How sir?
So, as Mr. Sirsa said, we took certain steps in Delhi. We have to make sure that the Canadians get the message that, it is their responsibility to protect Indian diplomatic premises. And to make sure that, there is no physical attempt to accost, to attack an Indian diplomat. But beyond that, I think the Canadians will also realize that it is now counterproductive for them to turn a blind eye to this any longer, that it is going to hurt. They are interested in an FTA. Can we go slow on the FTA and say, hang on, we have vital national interests at stake here, and it can't be business as usual until you start reining in some of these elements, because they are destructive to not just to in India's interest, but to the nature of the bilateral relationship.
Absolutely, and this is a concern that does continue. Thank you both very much for sharing your concerns on this.